He's back, folks. Steve Ploetz is here by popular demand. You know, I got sick of him, but you guys keep asking about him, so. He and his wallet both made it through the door, amazingly, at the same time. Maybe we'll get to that in a bit. But Steve, so we were looking at articles. We were sharing some articles back and forth via text and email about, you know, and these articles are saying, like, is now a bad time to buy? Experts say bad time to buy. So the question is now a bad time to buy real estate?
I feel like I have heard this conversation for like the last 8 years of my career. Is that, so I started in 2005, things went up, things went down, and then basically from like 2012, so what are we talking, like 9 years, everybody's been like, this is, it's not a good time, it's inflated, things are high. I think you and I did a bet not too long ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it was like year over year talking Oceanside. Here's what we've figured out. We don't know shit. That's what we've figured out. And neither does anybody else. And so I think there's layers to that, and I think that, is it a bad time to buy? Is it a good time to buy? It depends on your personal circumstances.
Speak for yourself. Steve admitted he doesn't know shit. I will say that we do know what has happened.
Absolutely. We can look at trends, and we can make some educated guesses. I don't mean that everybody is like walking into the market with no idea in what's happening. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that this thought process of, I need to time things, that I need to sell at the tip top and I need to buy at the very bottom, I think that mindset at times can get people stuck in a place where they do nothing because they get so paralyzed by all of the data that it puts them in a spot where then they don't make decisions. Here's the thing, like we have talked about. If somebody bought in 2005 or 2006, which in hindsight was the top of the market, as long as they were in something fixed, as long as they were able to weather the storm and make those payments, it's 16 years later now.
Yeah.
And assuming that they made zero changes, they never refinanced, they never pulled equity out, they never did nothing.
Just made their payment.
Just made their payment. They're 14 years away from owning a house free and clear. And so from an investment standpoint, here's my thought. I have a financial advisor who told me a long time ago, so a kind of a family guy that my parents had used and introduced me to very young. He said, Steve, if you put money in a 401k and you max it out every year, and that number keeps changing, now it's whatever it is, $19,000 or it was $18,500. He said, you put money in there and you blow the rest of your money. But if you do that every single year, in spite of yourself, you will be wealthy when you retire.
It's true.
And as you have talked about in videos previously, I believe the same is true for home ownership. That if you buy a house and you make the minimum payment and you screw up everything else.
You blow it.
You blow.
You bought Dogecoin at the top and you lost it all.
You do everything else, but you continue to make your payment, then you will be in a situation where at retirement or retirement age, 30 years from now, assuming again, fixed situation, you're making the payment, you're not doing interest only, you're not doing anything unusual or non-traditional, 30 years from now, you own a piece of California property that is paid off free and clear.
Yep.
Now, like crazy thought here, you put money in your 401k and you buy a house.
That's all you have to do. By the way, that's my whole philosophy.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard, I think you probably got that from me.
Absolutely. But, for sure I did.
But you know, that's it. Buy a house, eventually own it free and clear, max out your 401k. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to pick the penny stock. You don't have to buy the right crypto. If you just do those two things, then you're good. Now, if you do those two things and you still have stuff to play with,
absolutely,
now you're buying crypto, now you're buying penny stocks, or whatever you want. But
right,
you got to do those two things. I like that you've avoided the question because this is very typical of you, and you know I won't let you off the hook.
Damn, I thought that I did it.
So here's what we're doing. We're circling back to the question, is now a bad time to buy? Okay, we have to define, right? What is a bad time to buy, right? What is a bad time to buy? Bad times to buy all depends on when you sell. So, right? Because it's only a bad time to buy if I sell for a loss. Can we say that is true about anything? You bought the stock at a bad time if you sold it for a loss. So really, it's not about is it a good time to buy?
So you're assuming that somebody already owns a home and now they're looking, like you're talking.
No,
you're,
no, I'm not. I'm just saying, you're saying, hey, okay, is it a good time to buy, or is it a bad time to buy? It's only a bad time to buy if you end up selling it at the wrong time.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
So
like what's the exit strategy?
So technically, there's no bad time to buy, but there are bad times to sell. If we want to be very technical about this.
Yes.
If you buy real estate, look at the chart from 1970 to today, it's like this. If you just zoom out, it's just straight up. And that makes sense because you have a limited amount of land and you have an exponentially growing population. Actually, the population isn't growing as fast as it is recently, which is super interesting. Whole nother video. But we have a growing population, we have a fixed amount of land, so long term it goes up. That said, if you look at historically, if you just look at past data and you look at the prices today, you would say it looks like a bad time to buy because prices have maybe never been this high before.
Right.
So if the idea is buy low, sell high, then I'm looking at this and going, well, prices are maybe too high. However, real estate
This
mindset,
is so well put. I'm going to give you I'm serious. Because like in my example,
I'm not done.
Plus
it
allows me to interrupt
You're interrupting.
you.
He's interrupting. He always gives me a compliment when he interrupts. So the philosophy in good investments. Now I'm talking about you're buying a good company. You're buying Amazon, you're buying, Apple, these the companies that, historically provided great returns similar to real estate. You can kind of count on. You're buying high, selling higher. Or in a perfect world, you're buying at a level that's comfortable for you and you never sell it.
Right.
So it's a mentality thing. But people always ask me this though, is it a bad time to buy? Well, let me ask you this, is it a bad time to buy sneakers?
Right. It's never a bad time.
How do you know? Is it bad time to buy sneakers? Are they?
Well, I mean, and to that point, if we're going to compare the two, it's a bad time to buy very expensive sneakers that are like out of your price range and are unnecessary kind of stuff.
Yeah, the model stuff that you're going to stick on a shelf, it's $4,000.
And to your point about talking about 2005, saying, well, it was a good time because now we're 16 years going back to that. But if you bought in 2005 and you sold it in 2009, then buying in 2005 was a terrible time to buy.
But see, it wasn't a bad time to buy, but 2009 was a bad time to sell, and
exactly.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's not, buying is not something that you have to time.
Right.
Selling is. So ideally, you don't sell.
Right.
But if you do have to sell.
This sounds like my philosophy. I think that what we're talking about is my
Is that right?
Which is buy and never sell California real estate, if you can afford to do so.
Never sell real estate, period, unless you have to or have a better plan, something else going on.
And I think going back to the 401k discussion from my childhood financial advisor, the difference when I see those two things, like your mantra of buy a house, max out your 401k, and you'll be fine and you'll be wealthy by the time of retirement. The thing is, I feel like with retirement money, let's call it $20,000, since I love to round numbers. So if I'm putting $20,000 a year, I think it's easy for people to go, well, I can put that $20,000 elsewhere. Let me hang on to that. I need groceries or whatever it may be. But housing, whether you own or you rent, that money is still going out.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's more of a trade. I'm trading rent money, which will say, and I don't even know median rents these days in
crazy.
$2,750, like $2,500
for a house. Much more, because the median rent they always give you is based on a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, so which is still probably 23.
No, higher. It's like 2,700, 2,800. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw it too. The median rent, which is they base it off of 2-bedroom homes,
right? Not
detached single families.
Yeah,
it was it early? It was in the low 2000s, just a couple of years ago. Now it's in the high 2000s.
Bring the printout. Where's the? Oh, sorry.
The data. No, I'll put it in a link. I will.
No, but exactly to your
easy
point.
to Google that.
And for sure, like, so that's the trade. I'm either renting at a median price of $2,750, let's call it,
okay,
or I'm paying a mortgage that's what, $3,500?
Okay.
And granted, there's down payment, there's other things that go into it, but I'm really only making a trade here, and probably if I'm doing that type of trade, maybe I'm moving out of the most desirable area that I can rent and into an area that is just good, or depending on the sacrifices that I need to make. But I feel like that's a trade. With the 401k stuff or retirement stuff, it's easy for people to think, well, you know what, I just won't I won't do it this year. We needed the money this year. I lost my job. I needed a new car. All these different excuses, and then they can push it to next year. But I feel like housing, no matter what, unless you're living in your mom's basement and I don't even know who's got a basement around here at age 40.
Not in here.
but if you're living in some free situation, even then, I feel like it makes sense to like.
Well, if you're doing that, then that's a great opportunity to save money, right? Like, you know, I know a lot of people who were grown adults who did that because they're like, you know what, this is the only way we're going to save money. Yeah. You know, if we're paying $2,500, you know, a month in rent to be in a condo or an apartment, that's $30,000 a year. So if we just buck up and we go live in mom's basement for 2-3 years, whatever it is that it takes, we can get enough money to buy our own place. And that's the sacrifice. And we saw this happen, and part of what we're seeing in the market right now is the sprawl, which is the unwinding of this. When the crash came and hard times came, a lot of people grouped together. A lot of people got a roommate. A lot of people went and moved back in with mom and dad. A lot of people did things to make their housing situation more doable.
Circle the wagons.
They did. And so now the economy has been good and been thriving and things have been moving for several years. A lot of those people are the people who went out and rented a home, and then now they're buying a home. You know, they got out on their own, they did something. So that is part of what this is all about. It's not a step backwards to go live with mom and dad or to go live with a brother or sister.
As long as you have a plan.
You gotta have a plan. You can't just go there and blow the money.
Exactly. As long as you have an eyes on the prize of what you're going to do. Because here's the stat that I thought was most interesting that I saw, and I can't wait to tell this one to you because this one I didn't send to you.
Okay.
May 2020 to May 2021, in San Diego County, homes appreciated $26 an hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so here's the thing. We know people who aren't making $26 an hour and aren't working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And the thing is, I think sometimes people have this thought process, which is, hey, I'm gonna put it away. We could buy right now, but it seems high. I'm gonna put money away, and then as things soften, then I'll be ready to jump in. The problem I'm feeling is with what's happening, and again, this is just median household, median appreciation levels in San Diego County, is that most people can't keep up with the appreciation. That they're feeling like we're gonna, and it used to not be appreciating this quickly. So there was the feeling like, hey, we really want to buy, but let's buckle down, let's be smart for the next year, and then we'll get ahead of this market, and then we'll be in a position we can buy. I'm concerned that people are going to get priced out even more. Yeah. And there will be changes, there'll be shifts. I mean, you look at it better than anyone I know in terms of what's happening with rates, how are things impacted on a more national level, which will impact our market overall. And I just feel like demand's super high, supply is trying to increase, but we're in a tricky spot.
We're in a tricky spot because there's so many qualified buyers that aren't in a house yet.
Right.
That's the problem, is that, you know, we don't have the inventory to supply these folks. And so I think this market has taken a new leg up and we're creating a new normal. Yeah. And so we might go sideways for a little while here as we sort of establish and maintain this new normal for price per square foot, let's call it. Yeah. And then we'll take another leg higher when those people who come back around to being buyers again go, okay, the prices are still where they were, you know, when we last looked a year ago or whatever.
What are you experiencing? I know you specialize in the VA side, which I think is such an honorable thing and a great thing for a lot of our military. What are you seeing recently in terms of offers being accepted? Are there more being accepted, less being accepted? More. Yeah. Okay, and I know that you're kind of dependent upon the agents who are working with them and the offers that they're writing and those types of things.
I take a lot of it into my own hands too, and contact the listing agents and you know, really make sure they understand that we're specialized in VA, and we know this isn't our first rodeo or our third one that we've ever done. You know, we know what we're doing here. We can move quickly. I'm seeing more offers being accepted. In fact, this week, today we got number 5. So 5 for the week, which, you know, is
all VA.
All VA, which is kind of a more normal amount for us. It'd been less. I mean, I had a whole week where we didn't get an offer accepted, and it wasn't that people weren't writing them. Yeah, there were lots of offers going out, but it was just very, very tough to compete with all cash or 50% down, no contingencies and stuff like that. Which
how's the exhaustion level for your clients?
It's high. It's high. Yeah, but a lot of those people are qualified buyers, though.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that must be most frustrating, is to feel like I'm qualified. We can do this deal. My lender has already got us. The timelines all work. Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, why won't you accept our offer? Like, hey, what can we do? We're writing offers over asking price. These different types of things.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it's true. So, to come back to the question, is now a bad time to buy? I'm just going to make it very clear that not a bad time to buy. If you could time travel in the past, you could find better times to buy for sure. In the future, I don't know. I don't know if there will be, better times to buy. I don't know if the market will go down 10% or 5%. But based on the things that we've seen, the lack of inventory, the amount of qualified buyers who are still on the sidelines ready to rock around, and I say qualified buyers, I mean fully qualified buyers. Yeah. People who have the down payment, have the qualifications, are ready to go. Those people, they may be signing a lease now. Then 9 months from now, they're going to get back into the mix, and so what's happening is the can's getting kicked down the road. A lot of the demand is getting kicked down the road. Yeah. That demand is still there, and it will rise to the surface again. So I am not optimistic of a crash or anything, close to that coming.
I am not optimistic of a crash.
Yeah.
The interpretation means a crash is not coming in the short term.
Yeah.
Derrick Evans.
A crash would be good for buyers, right? If you really have the stones to pull the trigger in the heat of battle.
Yes.
But, and I'm not optimistic of that.
Yeah.
I think
agree with
that
you. I don't foresee one coming.
I'm more bullish on real estate prices going higher and that kind of happening forever. Just kind of like Steve's wallet getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. It's really
It's just those business cards that keep it. Oh, here comes the shaming, the public shaming.
It's coming.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. This thing needs its own chair here. Can you get that on the wide? Look at this thing. I mean, it's like a Big Mac.
Well, the nice thing is, if I ever get messed with, I just pull it out and I can bludgeon someone.
You just beat somebody with the same. Look at this. It's like a sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big guy.
Yes,
here.
Normally I try to, but
it doesn't fit anywhere. Steve, thanks for coming in, man. It's great to see you, brother. I really appreciate you. Hey, share this video with your friends. Let's make them smarter than everyone else.